roars get loud around you, it's an indication they're convinced that God is stirring something significant in you, and you'll miss it. We see in Luke chapter 19, verses 41 through 44, the Father's heart, LV, legion of people who miss their visitation. Anybody living a life that's not synchronized in the Spirit, they will miss what it is that God was intending to bring. Be aligned with heaven's calendar, and they may find themselves exerting a lot of effort, but never truly advancing, because breakthrough comes through encounters and not through effort. Through the life of Noah, and on the first day, on the eve of reconstruction, he's drunk. We read their Bibles. Yes, this is greater works. We know his word. This is the wrong day to be drunk. Spiritually, certainly naturally, we don't do that. It's too expensive to be out of sync. Jose? It's too expensive to live disconnected from what God is doing, Whitney. It costs too much to be preoccupied with inferior realities that keeps us, Tammy, from walking in his. You'll never be able to remove that there's a compensation that travels along with sin. The wages of sin are, but the gift of God is. Sin is like every other credit card company, it has a reward system. You find yourself paying more back than what it was worth. God is doing some amazing things in our midst. One of the prophets says, God is moving. Can you perceive it? Can you perceive it? Can you perceive it? Can you perceive it? That should be the question that haunts every last one of us, Jada. Can we perceive it? God is moving. Can I perceive it? It would literally hurt my heart for God to be moving and I'm not aware. That's more than I can take, Sean. I can't take that one. There's a certain thing, Michaela, is being too busy. No. There come windows and times. Many times people quote Malachi 3 and 6 that try me now herewith and see if I will not open unto you a window of heaven. And we start thinking physical structure, failing to realize that in Scripture that window speaks to a time and opportunity. I will open unto you a window. I will open unto you a span in time that will begin to start activating all type of heavenly transaction in your life that you won't even have room enough to receive. You won't have room enough for it, so it'll begin to start redefining your realities and what you've come to know as normal. Teaching us that if we'll begin to place him first, he'll begin to start opening up new dimensions of times and encounters and realities in God where you actually will begin to start co-authoring your days. There's a scripture over in 1 Kings chapter 19. He says, when I brought you out of Israel, I think it's around verse 6, it says, I chose no tribe nor no place to build myself a tabernacle. He says this, I simply chose David. And the idea to build me a house was inside of his heart. He says, I chose a man. And it was in that man's heart to build me a house. I need you to understand that whenever you begin to start walking in a greater measure of honor, you'll begin to start living with heaven's backing. You'll live with heaven's backing. Heaven, Larry, will always show up to back you whenever you begin to use the authority he's put upon your life for his will to be seen and find expression in the earth. This is how it happens whenever you run into those who it seems like God always answers their prayers. It's not because of the language or the volume that they pray in as much as it is the place in which they pray from. Is that making sense, Cooper? 1 Kings chapter 17 says it this way. And Elijah the Tishbite came and he clearly, there will be no rain except at my word. He says, and I decree it now. As a prophet who stands before the Lord, there will be no rain until I say so. He says, and I say that as a prophet who stands before the Lord. His authority was in the fact, it was in the space, Desiree, that he occupied as a prophet, and not because he was a prophet. I know plenty of powerless prophets. I know preachers who can't cast out a head cold. Only thing they have for you is encouragement. It ought not be, because that's not the model we see demonstrated by Jesus. I told you this, saints who live void of an encounter will always live desperately depending upon encouragement. Somebody has to always come around every so often to talk them into the fact that Jesus still liveth. Because they have no personal reference point reflect back to readily. So he says there will be no rain at my word. You know why he said that, V? Because Ahab, married to Jezebel, they served, and her father was the high priest of the altar of Baal, who Baal was believed to be the god of the climates and of the rain. And they would worship Baal and cut themselves and dance in hopes that rain would begin to come to water their farms so that they would have a crop in the coming season. So guess what he says, Marvin? I'm going to show you what real power looks like and shut down your economy. It won't be no rain. Because Baal ain't got nothing to do over the jurisdiction that God has put me in. I'll decide when you'll see rain again. He left from that time in 2 years. I've taught you before the technology of clouds. Kish had lost his donkeys. As his interest shift from off the donkeys, and he began to become concerned for me. Let us go unto him, and perhaps he will be able to tell. Jesus is in the boat, headed to the other side. What happens? To the other side. What happens? And he rebukes the winds and the waves. And the disciples stand in shock and they say, man, what manner of man is this? That even the winds and the waves, what? Obey him. Because he carried peace within him, he could take authority over the chaos that was around him. And so he was able to pull from sense. He was able to release the peace over the wind because he was carrying it. You will never be able to carry what you have not yet possessed to walk in yourself. Power over atmospheres and environments require you possessing these virtues within yourself. Next week, I'm going to teach you on the anatomy of honor. The anatomy of authority, rather, which begins with honor. See, because many people are not seeing the tangible result, because God, watch this, had established that you have to be privy of, you have to strengthen, and we have the responsibility of expanding. David said, my greater. I'm going to say it again because maybe the mic didn't work in the back. Or if you haven't had the right ones laid on you. A time of a lack of ministry. A time of a lack of ministry. That it will only grow stronger in my absence.